Hello, good evening, and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 23-24 season. It's not 22-23 anymore, gotta remember that. Hello guys, my name is Dan. We're back with a stream today. A bit of a stream today, yes. I thought I would do things a little bit differently today. I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. Obviously, we've uploaded a crazy amount recently. We're doing like 7 videos a week at this point, which is a lot. So the idea of doing both a video and a stream today after doing a video yesterday, I just needed a little bit of like half a day to relax today. So we're going to do something slightly different. I'm going to try and combine the usual Monday video, which is usually the tier list video, with the stream. So hopefully by combining those two, we get all of the content out that we want to, and it just saves me a couple of hours of today, basically, which I think is nice. Particularly as the next week or so is going to be crazy busy. Not just because there's so many fixtures so close together, loads of deadlines so close together coming up. But also, it's Christmas, it is my birthday, it is my brother's birthday as well, and New Year's Eve, of course, New Year's, all within the space of like a week next week. So it's going to be a crazy time. So I just thought I'd take today as an opportunity to take like half a day off. So hopefully that's okay. I think it's going to be actually a little bit fun. I'm kind of excited. We're going to try and do the tier list together today, which I think is going to be interesting. Never done a tier list live before. So, yeah, kind of looking forward to it. So, yeah, guys, feel free to jump in. I'll be reading the chat throughout. Feel free to jump in if you've got opinions or perspectives on what we should be doing. Then, yeah, crack on. Go for it. So, we're going to be talking about the 30 most popular players, transfers in of Gameweek 18 so far. We're going to rank them. You guys are going to help me out with ranking them, and then after we've done that, we'll have a look at the tier list, see if we all agree on it, and if we do, then maybe we can move on to some other stuff, because there's loads of other questions and topics to go for. So hopefully an hour stream today. Hopefully that's going to be pretty good. Let's get cracking. Yeah, why not? So I have, in fairness, I say I haven't, I'm not going to pretend I haven't done anything today, because I have pre-prepared a tier list for us. You're getting kind of behind the scenes access to how I do these tier list videos, I guess, guys. But yeah, so I've built a tier list. I've got all of the right fields in there. We've got the 30 players in there. I've made all the graphics for each of the players as well. So we're going to throw them all in. And then once we've done that, we'll be talking about various other stuff. People saying happy birthday, by the way. Thank you, guys. It's still 10 days until my birthday, to be fair. So it's not happening right away, but I'm just aware that in the future it's going to be like difficult to do everything. I mean, to be fair, I probably will do videos on my birthday, but with like my brother's birthday and with Christmas Day, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to make excuses to go ahead and be working on those days. But regardless, let's do this. Let's do this tier list, and I haven't got things exactly in order, but we're in a rough order here. So we're going to start off with these players towards the top, like Colwill, and we're going to work our way down to the bottom players. So, guys, help me out. Help me out in the chat. I'll be reading the chat throughout. Let's see where we go. So, first of all, shall we start off with Levi Colwill? I think he is a fairly decent pick. I think he's at least optional. I think you could arguably put him in good transfer. I think, should we maybe drop him in good transfer for now? 4.6 million, pretty cheap. Probably going to be playing most games for Chelsea, which is nice. Can play in a variety of positions. Chelsea obviously have probably the best fixtures from a defensive point of view coming up, don't they? Really nice fixtures over the next 4 from a defense point of view. You guys are saying optional and avoid. Nicholas says great transfer. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far. I think we'll stick him. We'll leave him in a good transfer for now. I think most of you guys agree with that one. Let's keep moving on. João Pedro. I'm gonna go quickly on him. I think just all Brighton players are just avoids. And was it 3 blanks in a row now for João Pedro as well? I think even the game before that, I think he scored a goal, but he scored a goal from the bench, also got a yellow card in that game and got like 3 points in that game. So he hasn't been doing very well for FPL points. Brighton are just a disaster, aren't they? They're just an absolute nightmare. Martinez, I think, is an optional, but he's a little bit expensive at 5.1 million. So we'll leave him there. And by the way, guys, in the chat, if you are saying, you're trying to give a rating or a ranking to a player, make sure you put their name next to it. So if you want to say avoid to João Pedro, make sure you say João Pedro avoid, because as we whiz through these players quite quickly, it's going to be difficult for me to know which player you guys are talking about. But hopefully, so far, so good. I think we're along the right lines, guys. I think we're along the right lines so far. So yeah, Martinez, I think I'm happy with optional. I think if he was a little bit cheaper, then maybe we'd go for him. But there are cheaper ways into the Aston Villa defence. You know, we're talking about Pau Torres, if he is going to be available for this game week, which I think he should be. I think he might be a nicer pick. Obviously, we've got Ezri Konsa. Is Ezri Konsa still 4.5 million? If so, great bargain. You know, save 0.6 million and, you know, you get a nice player there. So, yeah, I would definitely be looking elsewhere if I wanted to get involved in the Aston Villa defence, really. Trippier, Goldie's talking about Trippier. So is Football Mad. So is Mark. Oh, good transfer, great transfer, and optional. Another great there. I think he is minimum good transfer. I think he actually will be one of the main transfer targets for people over this coming game week. I mean, the only issue with Trippier, let's just go on here. The only issue with Trippier is we do have an unfortunate situation whereby after the Luton and Forest game, we've got this trio of horror fixtures, Liverpool, City and Aston Villa. After that, it gets good again. So, yeah, really nice for the next two. If you don't buy him this game week, then I think he starts to drop into the optional category. And if you don't buy him this week or next week, by game week 20, by the time we get into January, I think Trippier suddenly becomes optional at best. Because those three fixtures scare me, man. They scare me for a defender. That's not nice, is it? So, okay, I think we're settled. The chat seems to be fairly settled on great transfer. Some people even say must buy. I don't think I'd go quite that far. Let's leave him there. Right, let's move on to Tarkowski next. So Jeremy says Tarkowski good, cheap, and somehow Everton defence is doing well. Okay, but here's I think if we're speaking about poor fixtures for Trippier, I mean, man, look at this. Spurs away. I think it's arguably the worst fixture a defender can have at the moment. Like, Spurs are looking so good in attack. Then we got Man City. We have got Wolves away in there, which is okay. But then Aston Villa. Then after that, Fulham away is again, it's okay. I don't think it's a great fixture. But then Spurs again and Man City again, because it obviously reverted. You know, the 18 is the same as 23 for everyone, and 19 is the same as 24 for everyone. So actually, I'm looking at these Everton fixtures, and although they are a great defence, then they really are, I think the fixtures put me off a little bit. But because they are, like I said, because Everton are a great defence, and 4.4 million is cheap, you still do back them to be able to keep a clean sheet against anyone at the moment. So I'm going to put Tarkowski in optional. I think optional. And you guys seem to be between optional and avoid, which is interesting. Shaky Fixtures says the biggest up. Yep. Los Hobbitos says Tarkowski optional, better options. I agree. George says avoid Tarkowski. All right. I think most of us agree on optional. We're going to leave him there. Right. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Moving on. Right. Vicario. Getting pretty expensive. Again, if we go back to Spurs' fixtures, which we'll find Vicario here. We go back to Spurs' fixtures. Everton are in good form at the moment. Brighton isn't a great fixture, but it's not too bad. I think the fixtures are okay for Spurs. I'd say Spurs have kind of mid fixtures. He's a good goalkeeper. I'm sure Spurs will keep some clean sheets, but at 5.3 million, we're saying avoid. We're saying avoid. All right, I was going to be generous. I was going to put him in optional, but you guys reckon avoid? I'm happy to go with the crowd on this one. I kind of definitely get the point. There is many goalkeepers I would go for before Vicario. So yeah, all right, I'm happy to stick with you guys. Well, some of you guys are saying optional, to be fair. It seems to be between optional and avoid. All right, okay. It seems like optional is taken over. We're going here. Right, Callum Wilson. I'm going to... you know what? I'm actually going to I'm going to do these both at the same time. I'm going to put Wilson and Isak probably both in avoid. At least for right this moment. Because I am seriously concerned about... I'm concerned about kind of what we might see in terms of rotation. We don't know which one's going to be playing. Like, Isak apparently doesn't even have a new injury. Actually, should we I'm going to try and don't do that. Let's just try. I'm going to get the chat in and put it on screen so you guys can see yourself. You guys deserve to see yourself chatting away. You're helping me out with this one. So let's put the chat on screen somewhere. Let's put you guys can go there for now. That's fine. That works. Yeah, Newcastle forwards avoid rotation risk. I don't think they're long-term picks either. Like what we said already about the fact that the Spurs are, after Newcastle after the next two. After Luton and Forest, the fixtures do get a bit dodgy, don't they? So, rotation, dodgy fixtures coming up soon. They're not long-term picks, are they? They're super short-term picks. I think I would be very tempted to free hit one of them in. We'll figure out. And I think, by the way, guys, we've got midweek fixtures this week. Let's just throw them on screen. So League Cup fixtures. I think this is noteworthy. I think this is really noteworthy. So we do need to consider this before making our decisions because we've got Everton, Fulham, Chelsea, Newcastle, Liverpool and West Ham all to play in the, tomorrow and Wednesday. So if Isak is on the bench against Chelsea, I think that would give me a lot of confidence that he will start against Luton. If he's not even on the bench, I'll be a little bit worried. But if Isak starts against Chelsea tomorrow, then I'm worried. I'm worried for Isak, and I think Wilson probably comes back in for Gameweek 18. So, yeah, I think that's something we need to think about. I definitely think it's so difficult to talk too much about the Newcastle forwards until after this game week. But certainly, if you already have them, wait for more information. If you don't have them already, would I be buying them today? No way. Would I be thinking about free hitting them in? Yes, definitely. If I was just using my transfers in general, would I even want them? I don't think I would. I think, they're possible keeps if you have either one of them. But neither are buys. So, yeah. All right. Avoids. Let's move on to Cunha. A few of you guys are talking about Cunha in the chat already. Cunha, my boy. Cunha optional. Cunha B. Oh, I don't know if I can put him quite in a. A few of you guys saying good transfer. I'm not sure. I think optional. I think the crowd reckons optional as well, so we're going to put him in there. I think I do prefer him to some of these other players in the optional category, to be fair. But yeah, let's stick him in there, and let's move on. Let's move on to Dubravka, who now we've got the first clean sheet from Dubravka. I think confidence in Dubravka is moving up, and now we're not so worried about his. People were worried about him being injured for a minute there. So I don't know. Yeah, I think Dubravka is for 4.2 million still a great bargain. I would say he is. I think he was a good transfer. Rune A says Dubravka, don't buy him. I want to have him alone. I'm sorry, man. Tom says Dubravka, good transfer, best keeper in my opinion. I think I would agree with you. I think he's probably the best goalkeeper to own. When you take into consideration value for money, hey. That is, it's an awesome value for money pick right now. So if you don't have him already, you're looking for a new goalkeeper right now. Maybe you've got Sanchez, who you're worried about from Chelsea. You need a new keeper. Areola, you may be worried about. Whoever. Dubravka's good, isn't he? He's good. Minimum good. I would really consider bumping him up to great transfer. Let's rattle on, guys. Dan Burn, he's back. 4.4 million now. What a bargain, by the way. What a bargain at 4.4 million. Julek says Burn is a good transfer, but behind Colwell. Okay. I think you're probably about right there. I think I tend to agree with you. Nime says Burn optional. There might be rotation with defenders returning from injury. I think Burn is first choice, but I think there still could be a little bit of rotation in the short term, and then it's the next two fixtures. And remember, after the next two fixtures, the fixtures do turn a little bit. But Burn, as a rotation option in your squad at 4.4 million, maybe you bench him for the tougher fixtures and play him for the easier fixtures. I think it's a solid pick. So I think we're going to put him in good transfer, and we'll move on to Pau Torres, who is a really difficult one to place right now because of that injury at the moment. Is he going to be available or not? Hopefully get more information throughout the week. I think if Pau Torres is fit and available, I think he goes into great transfer. But what do we do? Do we assume he's fit, or do we assume he's not? I mean, I guess right this second he's an avoid. Like, anyone picking up Pau Torres right this second is probably going to be, I don't know, taking a risk there based on his injury status. I'm not sure. Tom says Pau avoid and get Concert. Yeah, definitely see it. Nime says Pau good if not injured. Harry says Pau optional because of injury. All right, you guys seem to be between optional and good transfer. I think I would actually put him as high as great transfer if he's fit, but we don't have that information. So on balance, I guess we just put him somewhere in the middle because we don't know yet. Put him somewhere in the middle. I think it's harsh to put him in optional. I think there's potential here. I think he's going to be good to go. I think, okay, we'll leave him at good for now. Matt Dawes says, I bought Pau Torres yesterday. Fingers crossed for you, my friend. Fingers crossed for you. Right, Alvarez is easy. We don't need to talk about Alvarez. I mean, this is crazy, guys. Like, honestly, let's look through here right now. The most popular transfers in. Let's count through here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So Alvarez is the 19th most popular transfer in at the moment, with 43,000 people already having transferred him in. Sorry, I'll just scroll down a little bit. Like, he doesn't even have a fixture. This is crazy. Like, I'm sure some people are... I mean, in many ways, I feel sorry for people. Are you guys... Some people are saying good transfer, optional. Are you kidding? I mean, maybe, okay, maybe I've spoken too soon here. What is going on? He doesn't have a fixture. Why on earth would you transfer in a player who doesn't even have a fixture? That sounds crazy. You guys are saying this is a good transfer. Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know how many of you guys watch the tier list videos usually, but the tier list videos, now maybe I should have clarified this. Tier list videos are transfer tier lists, so we're not ranking how good the player is as an FPL asset in general. We're ranking how good are they as a transfer this week. Like, if you don't have Alvarez right now, and you are transferring in Julian Alvarez, I don't know. I don't want to name call here. I don't want to be insulting, but I mean, if you are buying Alvarez this game week, come on. You really thinking about buying Julian Alvarez this week? Seriously? Easiest avoid. Why on earth would you buy a player who doesn't have a fixture this week? If you really want Alvarez, that's fair enough. Don't buy him this week. Buy him another week. You don't need him this week. Crazy. Absolute avoid. If you are for a transfer tier list, this is what this is. We're doing a video on, we're ranking players on how good they are as transfers for this game week. Alvarez is the bottom of the pile. Terrible transfer. Awful. Do not buy Alvarez. And if you do, I mean, I'm not going to stop you. That's just a better rank for me at the end of the day. But, Lord alive. Crazy. But yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead and buy Alvarez. Be my guest. Because I need all the help I can get in FPL right now. And if people are making decisions like that, then that's good news for me. All right, okay, let's move on. I didn't think that needed a big topic of discussion there, really. I thought that was pretty obvious. Maybe not. Let's move on to Pickford, of course. Deke says, I was considering Pickford, but tough fixtures upcoming. Yeah, for sure, man. You guys seem to be between Pickford, avoid, and optional. I think you probably put him in a similar situation to Tarkowski, right? Good value for money, but horrible fixtures. But a strong defense that, in theory, you could see keeping clean sheets against anyone right now. But in practice, when you're up against the big attacks, it's always a bit dodgy. Pickford has a bit of stigma, or like obviously in FPL, certainly for the beginning of the season. But I think credit where credit's due. Pickford has really turned it around. Right next to Tarkowski, I think makes sense. Right, next. Richarlison. I like this pick. A lot, guys. I'm not going to lie. I like this pick a lot. Where do you guys stand on this one? Again, Richarlison, another player who gets a lot of stick in the FPL world. But it looks like, certainly in the easier fixtures, or, well, maybe not the easier fixtures, but the fixtures against the some maybe more low block teams, Richarlison is going to be starting as the central striker, and Son is going to remain out on the left wing there. Soon, Son is going to be off to the Asia Cup. Richarlison is going to be even more nailed on as that central striker. I think it's a good pick. I think it's good minimum. I really like it. Decent value for money. I think he's probably on penalties during the Asia Cup as well. 6.7 million is maybe a little bit more money than people be willing to spend on a differential like this. But I think he's, you guys are saying great in the chat. Some of you guys are saying good. Some of you guys are saying great. I think I'm on side great. I think I'm team great. I really like this pick. Really like this pick. And he's a nice differential as well. If you want to mix it up and try and play a little bit different, this is the way I would go. Richarlison would be the player I pick right now. Really impressive. Really impressed by him. So yeah, great transfer for me. There you go. I said it. Like genuinely, if obviously I have Brennan Johnson in my team, which I could go on and on and on about with Brennan Johnson. But if Spurs, you know, maybe with the concussion rule, aren't able to play, or don't want to risk Brennan Johnson in game week 18, I don't know if that will actually happen. But if it does, I think Brennan Johnson to Richarlison may be my transfer. I really like this pick. Gamil says Kulu is better. Is he? Is that because you've been watching the... I mean, we'll do Kulusevski next because obviously they're you know, teammates, I guess. In fact, should we just do all the Spurs? I'm going to put all the Spurs players in a row. We'll just talk about all the Spurs players now. I think that makes more sense. So, yeah, we'll do the attackers first and then the defenders. Are you saying Kulusevski is a better pick because he's got more points recently, or because, or has he? Is that even true? You got more points in game week 17. Is this a points-based thing? Because obviously 14 points there. Richarlison only the 9 points. I think Richarlison has a better chance of performing consistently. I mean, we've seen with Kulusevski that he does have periods where he doesn't. His output is not crazy high. He's more of a... I know he scored last game week, and he has scored before, but you can see his XG numbers this season. What's his total XG? His total XG for the season is 2.4. He scored 5 goals in that time, and that's not sustainable. I appreciate that he did well last game week, but I do like Kulusevski as a pick. Don't get me wrong. But he's not as much as Richarlison. He's more expensive. His numbers are worse. He is playing in a wider position. He's got no chance of being on those penalties. I think Kulusevski is a good transfer, but he's no Richarlison. So, what are we saying? Kulu, optional. Kulu, good. You guys seem to be saying good, but not quite as good as... Some people think Kulusevski is better than Richarlison, but I'm overruling this one. I think the majority probably agree with me, but I'm overruling those who don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kulusevski, good transfer. I'm going to put him here. So pretty high in the good transfer category, but yeah, he's no Richarlison. He's no Richarlison. Right, let's do Son, and then we'll move on to the defenders. So Heung-min Son. I mean, with Asia Cup coming up so soon, I don't think it's a must-buy anymore. The next few fixtures aren't insanely good. But he's still a really important player to own. He's super, important player to own. I think... Would I be... If I didn't have Son already, would I be desperate to transfer him in, though? This is the interesting point. Right, FPL Raptor's in the chat. Nice to see you, by the way, Raptor. Nice to see you, bro. And he says... Richarlison, 0.52 XG per 90. Kulusevski, 0.15 XG per 90. It isn't even close. I completely agree with you, man. Completely agree. It's no contest between the two. And I'm not trying to bash Kulusevski. I think he's a decent pick. He's no Richarlison. No Richarlison whatsoever. Son, you guys are not sure where to put Son either. It's a tough one, right? Kulusevski playing century now. Yeah, he's playing behind the striker, isn't he? But Richarlison is playing as a striker. So, I mean, look. Kulusevski's a decent pick, don't get me wrong. But, yeah. Right, come on. Heung-min Son, 3 okay fixtures before he goes off to the Asia Cup. What are we saying? He's probably not a must-buy at this moment. But he is an important player to own and a potential captain for Game Week 18 as well, which I think needs to come into consideration. If you don't have Son... Who else are we looking at for captaincy? Maybe Watkins? Salah? I'm putting Son in great transfer. I think he's still an important player to have. I think he's still an important player to But yeah, I would genuinely be more tempted by a Trippier and Richarlison at this point. Right, Pedro Porro, similar, great transfer. Again, we're big fans of Pedro Porro. Great transfer. Ranger says Porro must buy. Okay. I don't think I go that far, but I'd be happy with great transfer. Nicola also says Porro must buy. He's good, isn't he? He is a good pick. He's certainly my favourite defender in the game right now. Maybe even more so than Trippier for the medium term. I like Trippier more for the next two. But, I think a great transfer. Right, Romero. I mean, Romero's... You're going to get I think, optional good transfer, something like that. I do think Spurs will start to pick up more clean sheets now. I'm going to throw Romero in here. I can't see myself picking him ahead of, like, Pau Torres or Colwill, to be honest. I can't see myself doing it, so he can go down there. Okie dokie. Let's continue on. Salah and Trent. This is where things get controversial. I mean, Salah is like... When you're about to play, it's like probably one of the toughest fixtures for an attacker against Arsenal. But Salah has scored against Arsenal in the past. He has done well. And it's Salah as well. Salah is, he can do the business against anyone. But with a bad fixture against Arsenal and AFCON in, 3 game weeks time? We've got 3 game weeks left of him. He's not a must-buy. He can't be a must-buy. One bad fixture and then, Arsenal, Burnley is good. Newcastle is okay. At home, at least. And then he's gone. Bournemouth fixture, he's gone. So, it's that Burnley fixture, isn't it? You're possibly, particularly if Haaland is still out for game week 19, which is looking increasingly likely, I think Salah is kind of the big standout captain for game week 19. And at least with Son, I don't think Son is the standout captain for 18. He is a good option, but not the standout. It's tough, man. It's tough. These things again. I'm glad I'm doing this live. I need your guys' help on this one. A lot of you guys are saying optional. Oh, that seems harsh. I know it's the Arsenal fixture, and then 2 more, and then I think because of the captaincy, if you don't have Salah already, I think just because of the captaincy in game week 19, I think it still might be worth going for him. I mean, even against Arsenal, you probably trust Salah more than you do Kulusevski this game week, right? If you have, okay, for example, like, I know it said, oh yeah, no, Kulusevski got a better fixture against Everton. I trust Kulusevski more. But be completely honest with yourself. If you are forced to captain one of Kulusevski or Salah this game week, who would you captain? The answer is Salah. And because of that, Salah is a better pick this week. And we know he's a better pick next week. I don't think we can could put him in optional. I think that's too harsh. I'm going to put him in good. Trent is the controversial one, right? Really controversial. Because some people love him. I mean, he's just scored a bunch of points 4 game weeks in a row, right? It's crazy points over the last 4. Goals, assists, clean sheets. Arsenal up next. Newcastle in game week 20. Tough. Couple of fixtures. Burnley's nice. Would you wait until after the Arsenal game to get Trent? Or would you go for him now? What would you do? I think right this second, I think avoid is harsh. He is super expensive, and I don't think he's good value for money either. I think optional, we've got a lot of players in the optional category that are just not great value for money, like Vicario and Martinez. They're decent picks, but they're not great value for money. Optional, we seem to be in the chat floating between good transfer and avoid. So I think optional is probably fair. When we're thinking about buying him for game week 18, I think it's an option to buy him for game week 18. I wouldn't say it's a particularly amazing transfer this week. Next week, though, I think things change. I think we go again next week and we perhaps bump Trent up a level despite the price. So I'm going to put him in optional. I'm going to put him in a similar situation to Martinez, where it's kind of a poor value for money pick, particularly with the fixture. After Arsenal, I think we can talk business again. We can talk business. Right, come on, guys. We've got to get through some of these players. Right. Let's go through some players which I think we can do pretty quickly. I think Bowen is going to be a discussion player. I think a lot of these players towards the end are going to be discussion players. So let's do Jackson, Jesus, and Leno. Let's do them together, guys. Let me know in the chat where you want each player to go. So, like, put in the chat, like, Jackson, avoid, for example. Jesus, optional, whatever. I think Jackson is an avoid. I think he is a low optional, high avoid. Wolves away is not a great fixture. It's not a fantastic fixture. And Jackson may be kicking in with the occasional goal, but when Nkunku comes back, is surely Jackson's the first player to drop out. Right, you guys are saying Jackson avoid. All right, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. Gabriel Jesus, tough fixture against Arsenal up next. I think against Liverpool next. I don't think he's a bad option. I don't think he's an avoid. I think Jesus is an avoid. I don't think he's a great transfer either. I would be between good and optional. I mean, Nikat says Jesus must buy. I think you're crazy. Cameo says Jesus optional to good. Yeah. Philip says good transfer. Udamemfom says Jesus great. Oh, that seems generous. Seems generous. I think we seem to be between optional and good. I'm gonna be generous because a few of you guys seem to be generous in the chat. So I'm gonna be generous and I'm gonna put him in good transfer. I'm gonna put him low good transfer. Right next to Romero there. I think it's a solid pick. I think he's a fine pick. If you've already got Watkins in your team, maybe you've already got Solanke as well, and you're running a 3-forward formation. I mean, who's your third forward right now? It can't be Haaland or Alvarez. So I guess that Jesus is maybe the next player you pick. Low good. Anyway, Leno. George says Leno great transfer, makes a lot of saves. Yeah. Mark says Leno good. I think I'm with you. I like Leno. If I'm going for a goalkeeper, Dubravka is probably my first pick, but Leno's probably my second. So let's throw him in. I'm going to throw him in like here, quite high on the good transfer. I think we'll put him quite high. Kind of like this one. Right. Now we get to the real popular picks. These are the players everyone's talking about this game week. Let's do the midfielders first. Gordon, Bowen, Palmer, Kudus, and then we'll finish off with Solanke and Watkins. Where I think I know where I'm going to put the forwards. I think there's a little bit more discussion for the midfielders. I'm going to kick you off with Gordon. No, I think great. I think Gordon is great. Joel says Gordon, avoid Barnes coming in. From what I read earlier, I think I saw that Barnes is still several weeks out. So you've probably got at least 4 or 5 game weeks before you need to start thinking about the Barnes threat. And Gordon is first choice anyway. He's made that position his own. I think it's a good transfer. I think it's a really good transfer. I think it's a great transfer, in fact. Yeah, you guys saying great between great transfer. Some of you guys even saying must buy. So I think we need to put him at least great transfer. I think must buy is perhaps a little generous. I mean, very few players are must buys. But Gordon's got to be up there. I think I'm going to put him ahead of Son. I think I'm going to put him next to Richarlison. I think I perhaps even put... The only one thing about Gordon is that you can't have them all. If you've got Dubravka and Trippier, or we're saying they're kind of the best picks in their positions, then you've only got one more Newcastle slot. Some people are already going to have the likes of Livramento, Byrne, Botman, Wilson, Isak. I think that's the only excuse to not buy Gordon is if you're already tripled up. Or you are doubled up, but you haven't got one of Trippier or Dubravka, and you want to get a Trippier or Dubravka in, then maybe Gordon... I think there are other options to Gordon in the midfield slot. A couple of which we need to talk about now. Let's do it. Let's do it. Bowen. BH is great transfer. Marcus is great. Philip says, Gordon is a bit of a boring pick. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. But he's boring for a reason, because he, you know, he's a player we mostly agree upon that he's a, you know, really good transfer to go for. Yeah, Bowen has got, for me, at least good. At least good. I think it's a really decent pick. Really decent pick. We are running. If I go here, is it going to drop? All right. See, I purposely, when things drop down and we go like this and we have multiple levels on one tier, at that point it tells me we're being too generous and we need to bump some people down. So if we're putting Bowen in good transfer, we need to bump someone out of it. We either need to take Dubravka up or Jesus down. We are not going to overfill any categories. We need to be not on the fence. No fence sitting here. So we can either be a good transfer and we got to knock someone down. All right, you guys are saying, right, Bowen, high, good transfer. I think I agree with you. So here, maybe after Dubravka. I think Dubravka's slightly better pick at this moment. Maybe even salaries as well. I think I prefer Bowen to Kulusevski as well. I think. He'd be around Salah. Just the Arsenal fixture for Salah, I think Bowen edges it. But I think we're going to have to bump Jesus down to optional. I'm sorry, Jesus fans. I know we're very, very close to Christmas and his birthday. The big 202... Wait, how old would Jesus be? Would he be 2023 or 4? How does that even work? Asking the wrong guy. Need a religious historian. Any religious historians in the chat? Don't some people say that Jesus' birthday was actually, you know, nowhere near the 25th? It was in October or something. But the old wise men didn't arrive till the 25th, so yeah, may as well have it there. Don't know. Probably out of my depth in this conversation. Maybe we should leave it there. Probably going to get a bit controversial if we keep talking. But anyway, sorry, Jesus. I know it's your birthday coming up, mate, but you're going to have to go in optional. Going to have to go in optional. Romero down. We could drop Romero down as well, couldn't we? All right, let's drop Romero down as well. We'll do it like that. We'll put Jesus slightly ahead. Ben says I have a theology degree. Impressive. Right. I'm going to leave that conversation there, I think. Cole Palmer. Good pick. Really good pick. Is he a must-buy? Is Cole Palmer a must-buy? I can't see myself ever building an FPL team right now without Cole Palmer in it. 5.6 million for Chelsea's best player, best FPL asset, penalty taker, nailed on. And apart from that one game he was injured, he's been nailed on since he came into the team. 5.6 million, great fixtures. He is like, when we're talking about must-buy players, you don't get much closer to must-buy than that, right? Kevin Wing says Palmer on 4 yellows. Yes, but the 4 yellow rule resets in 2 games' time. All he needs to do is not get a yellow card in the next 2. And then he's clear. It resets. It goes to 10 yellow cards before a suspension. I'm not worried. The 4 yellow cards thing, I'm not really worried at this point. I think there's not too much point in putting too much of your brain power on the yellow card situation at this moment. I think he might be a must-buy. All right, guys, you guys are you seem on board in the chat. Must-buy. Wolves not an amazing fixture. I do agree with that, Scott. I do agree that Wolves is not an amazing fixture. But for the run-in, if you're looking for a new midfielder right now and you haven't got Cole Palmer, easy. The easiest transfer you'll make all season, right? The easiest transfer. Let's put him there. Right. We're down to the final 3. Kudus. I guess in many ways, the popular man, the man of the moment. For game week 17, saved a lot of game weeks. This man, a lot of game weeks. Now, here is the interesting one. Now, Tom has nailed exactly what I was about to say. Now, Tom in the chat has written, Kudus optional with AFCON soon. And I think that is what people don't realise. And to be fair, like when we look at the overall transfer trends, we are often looking at people who They probably don't even know what an AFCON is. What is this AFCON you speak of? Is this? It sounds like is it a convention for people with afros? It could be, but it's not. It is the premier international competition of the continent of Africa, of which all of the top Premier League African players will be jetting off, including a young Mr. Kudus. He's a 3-game week punt at best. One of those 3 fixtures, if you look through West Ham's fixtures, where you are, there you are. One of the 3 fixtures is Arsenal. The other 2 are Man United and Brighton, which are okay fixtures, granted, but they're not like insane fixtures, are they? I don't think he's a great. I actually don't think. I think it's a pretty weak transfer, if I'm honest. I don't think it's an avoid. I don't think this is a strong transfer. I think this is a bit of a knee-jerk and a bit of a reactionary transfer that maybe people who aren't fully in the know about these international tournaments coming up, they may be bringing in Kudus without the information. And I'm going to try and help you guys out here and warn you about this one. I know some of you guys that will already know this, of course, but a big warning symbol on Kudus. I think he's optional at best. For a 3-game week punt, he's okay. The fixtures aren't even... I don't think the fixtures really justify a 3-game week punt. I think this is a misinformed transfer, if I'm honest. I think he goes in optional at best. I'm not super keen on this one. We'll put him next to Jesus. The Real Tidge says, let's be honest, you buy Bowen over Kudus easily at this point in time. 100%, my friend. 100%. The only problem is Bowen is a million more expensive, which does play into things a little, but still. Right, final two. Dominic Solanke and Ollie Watkins. Now, CHND says Solanke optional, only 2 good fixtures left, and Haaland will be back soon. It's too late to board that ship. Definitely get where you're coming from. I think ideally, if you were going to go for Solanke, you have missed the best time to buy him. The best time to buy him was a few weeks ago, maybe 1 week ago. That's not to say he's now it's now bad to buy him. It's just no longer the best time to buy him. I think he could, in fairness, still be a good transfer. I still think he could be a good transfer. But I don't think he slots into the must-buys and the greats. Now, considering Solanke is, at present, the second most popular transfer in the game week, almost 200,000 people already have bought in Solanke. He's super, super popular. I don't think he justifies that popularity, but I don't think that makes him a bad pick. I think he's good. So I'm going to drop him in good. Let's put him like mid-range good. That's where I would say. Which leaves one more player. And that's Super Ollie, who I think goes high. This one, I don't quite feel the same about Watkins as I do about Solanke. I think Watkins is a super, super long-term pick. You know, you could hold this guy for the rest of the season. He is, for me, currently, at this exact moment in time, my favourite captain for Gameweek 18. I'm not settled on that one. I'm not locked in on Watkins captain. But right now, I'm telling you, my captain's armband is on Ollie Watkins at this moment. He is super reliable. He's a season keeper. He is high owned. You know, if he pops off, you're screwed. Is he a must buy? You guys saying he's a must buy. Looney Tunes even says Ollie must buy, easy decision. The worst I've seen of your ratings in the chat are great transfer. But most of you are saying must buy. I tend to agree with you. We're going to do it. Ollie Watkins must buy. And you know what? And maybe it's you guys influencing me a little bit. But you know what? Rarely do I put players outside of Haaland, Salah and Son in the must buy category. Only in extreme circumstances would I put other players in the must buy category. Now maybe that's the pressure of the crowd. But Palmer is great value for money. Watkins, super reliable, super consistent, high-owned, amazing fixture, standout captain. Just a standout captain for Game Week 18. I think there's few excuses to not buy Ollie Watkins. Very few excuses. There will be excuses to not buy Watkins, don't get me wrong, but not many. Not many. He's as close to a must-buy as you can have in FPL right now, in my opinion. And that concludes it. Are we about right? Random YouTube utilizer says, Watkins certified FPL legends. Itai Boom says, Watkins better than Palmer. I think there are more excuses to not get Watkins than there are Palmer, and that's the only reason I would put him slightly lower. Because it's about quality of transfers, not quality of player. Palmer, there's pretty much no excuse to not buy Cole Palmer. Pretty much zero excuse not to buy him. Watkins, he is a little expensive at this moment. Like, you know, he's getting expensive. He is. Right, Level Earth says, ain't gonna lie, this is a tier list. Well, I would say I didn't ask, but I actually did. But I mean, feel free to make any corrections if you think we've got anything terribly wrong. I mean, the tier lists are often a little bit controversial for many people because people will like have their players in a lower tier and they'll feel like that's my players in a low tier. I'm not happy with that one. I have to tell you guys, I've got Isak in my team currently, and it doesn't matter. I have him. I'm not gonna have false loyalty towards him. I would say that's a pretty bad transfer right now. I'm not expecting it to be perfect for everyone, but I think we are roughly there. I think we're pretty good. MLK says, wait, sorry, how is Tarkowski optional? What's he done this season to be a plausible pick? I don't know, maybe 4 clean sheets in a row is a pretty good start. Is it 4 in a row? Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for a reason to buy a player, I mean, yeah, that's not a bad one. And he's only an optional as well. Like, you know, 4 clean sheets in a row, and he's only an optional at 4.4 million. Some would say that's I'd say that's fair. I'd say it's fair. Adam says, where would Konsa go? I think Konsa goes in good transfer minimum. A really nice pick. Most of you guys seem to think we're roughly right. We're roughly right. I think we're right. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy. If you guys are happy, I'm happy. We're roughly right. I think we're good. That's the best we're gonna get. We're never gonna please everyone. So, yeah, nice. Okay, guys. We'll stream for another 10 minutes. Let's just at this point answer questions. Let's just answer questions for the final, I guess, 10 minutes of the stream. So, you guys, if you've got any questions, please do let me know. Also, guys, yeah, do make sure you like this video. I would really, really appreciate that. If you could drop a like, that would be absolutely legendary behavior. And, of course, subscribe if you haven't done already and you enjoyed what you saw today. Usually we don't do the tier list live, but I have to say, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing that alongside you guys. Maybe there's room to do a little bit more of that in the future. Particularly with these busy game weeks, maybe we could do, like, instead of a tier list and a strategy stream, we combine the two. Because that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. YouTube is just my happy place, though. I love this. I just love this. I love doing this stuff with you guys. Right. Let's go to random questions. So, Ayub says, Cash, Matty Cash. I mean, I wouldn't be buying him. If I had him, I would be keeping an eye on the midweek fixture. If he gets rested midweek, I would feel increasingly confident of a start in Gameweek 18. I don't think it's too bad. Aaron says, best captain for the Gameweek, Salah or Watkins? I prefer Watkins to Salah. But it's probably between Salah, Watkins, and maybe Heung-min Son in there as well. But, yeah, Watkins is probably my captain at the moment. Sabil says, is Everton's result sustainable? What does the stats say? The stats put them, they're very high on the defensive numbers table. I think the only thing that will let Everton down now is their poor fixtures. They do have poor fixtures. Chris says, Zinchenko, good transfer. No, I would not be bringing in Zinchenko right now just because Liverpool is the next fixture. Why is Wilson an avoid? Because I think there's going to be heavy rotation followed by poor fixtures. Well, followed by poor fixtures and a continuation of the heavy rotation. The Wilson-Isak drama will run and run and run, as it has done for basically the past year and a half. So, yeah, I think that will continue. All right, okay. Should I just answer this question? All right, Max says, what will happen to Solanke after the abandoned match? Will he get bonus points? Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I have been avoiding commenting on this one. I really, really have. Because no matter what I say here, people are going to call me an idiot and I'm wrong and I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about. So take this with a pinch of salt. This is just one person's opinion. One person who is no more important than any other person in the FPL world. I have no influence. I have no say. And I'm just an FPL fan just like you guys. So whatever. Now I can tell you what I think will happen. And it kind of aligns with what I also think should happen. So here's the situation with Solanke and Bournemouth and Luton and all of these players who played in the Bournemouth and Luton game. Unfortunately, because of a really unfortunate circumstance with Lockyer, the game was abandoned. Now, Lockyer, by the way, is thankfully, good. He's thankfully good. We'll see what happens with the kind of the long-term future of his career, but I mean, he's alive. That's the main thing, right? After that, what do you do? So the game has been abandoned. Now, it looks as though, I don't think this has been explicitly said, but it looks as though the game is going to be replayed in full. Therefore, what has been played of the Bournemouth-Luton game so far essentially is written off in terms of the Premier League. The game doesn't count as a game. It essentially didn't happen. We're going to forget that game even happened, and we're going to just start again. We're going to do that game again. Now, if the Premier League is the FPL is following the Premier League, which it should do, in my opinion, then if games and goals and points don't count within the Premier League itself, then they shouldn't count for Fantasy Premier League either. So, what I think will happen is probably, what perhaps should happen, is if they are doing a full replay of that game, then that game that happened, or what of the part of the game that did happen in Gameweek 18, should just pretty much be struck from the record, pretend like it didn't even happen. If you have a Solanke, if you have a Senesi, if you have a, whoever else, that player probably gets auto-subbed off as if they didn't play. So as if they played 0 minutes, auto-sub off for whoever's on your bench. That's not going to make everyone happy. A lot of people want those Solanke points. I completely understand why. I completely get it. But if it is a case where the game doesn't count in the Premier League, then logic dictates it shouldn't count within FPL either. Some people are going to be happy with that. Some people have got Gordon on their bench, for example. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's fair. It's not. In FPL terms, it is horrible luck to have a game abandoned. In FPL terms, it is horrible luck. It really is. It's no good. But we know this is part of the game. We hope it happens as infrequently as possible. I don't know. I don't know. Now, obviously what's happened so far is that Game Week 17 hasn't technically ended yet. Because I think because there's probably going to be technical limitations in terms of how FPL implement what's happened. How do they implement a solution to this? Because right now, do you add bonus points? Do you just have whatever points have been added so far? Do you, reset the players to 0 minutes played and get auto subs going on? How do you do that from a technical point of view? How do you code that? How do you get that to happen? How do you intervene? From everything I've seen, FPL really does struggle when it comes to doing anything out of the ordinary, which is why the game has probably stayed so basic for so long. Anything that is a little bit strange or different, they struggle with it. So I think there's probably technical limitations there, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to fix it. If they can't fix it, then I think that maybe, just whatever points have been scored so far are the final points. I think that's a possibility there as well. If they just can't fix it, then it, whatever you got now, that's what you're sticking with. But it also might be that they don't fully know. They don't fully know how to deal with this situation. And it's not really much of a precedent set on a situation like this. So they would, in many ways, be setting a precedent. And it could have future implications. Whatever they choose to do now, they're going to have to do that again in the future. I know it doesn't sound fair for anyone who bought Solanke, but I think that the solution is probably If the game doesn't count in the Premier League, then a game shouldn't count in FPL either. I know some people are not going to be happy with that one. I know they're not. But remember, it's just my opinion. It's much easier for me to say as someone who doesn't own Solanke, by the way. Please don't think I'm trying to be biased here or anything like that. I think FPL could make a lot of changes in general, which was a conversation for another time. It's difficult. I mean, is Solanke going to be able, like, for example, is Solanke going to therefore now play 39 games in FPL, 39 game weeks for Solanke? Is that fair? To have a player who plays 39 games instead of 38 in a Premier League season? Doesn't really make sense. I don't know, guys. Just cross your fingers. I don't know what the solution's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. I think that's probably I just think if we're looking to set a precedent here and make sure things going forward, I think that's probably the right answer. I don't know. But it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And it's not fair. It's not fair. If that is the solution, genuinely sorry to Solanke owners. Genuinely, that sucks. That really does suck. It's not fair. You guys, you don't deserve it. You picked a good player. You got a good pick, and yeah, it sucks. And if there's any positive that can come of it, we're probably looking at a Solanke double game week in the near future. So I guess there's that. I don't know if that gives any comfort, but I don't know. But anyway, a few more questions. I'll try and answer like some of the most popular and simple questions that are applicable to the most people as well. So yeah, a few people asked me in the chat today. I've kind of glossed over it. A few people asked me this on in the YouTube comments and on Twitter as well. I've been a little bit inactive on Twitter, to be honest, but we moved. So two players, De Bruyne and Nkunku, not played a single game of... Actually, does De Bruyne play game week 1? Maybe De Bruyne played game week 1. But yeah, basically two players who have had next to no... Oh, he didn't even play game week... Oh, yeah, he did. He got injured in game week 1. Yeah, two players who have played between them 22 minutes of Premier League football this season, with Nkunku 0 minutes of competitive football for Chelsea in his career. And a lot of you guys are talking about transferring them in this week. I mean, first of all, De Bruyne, like, there's no way you transfer in a player when they don't have a fixture, so no way there. Do not buy De Bruyne whatsoever this week. Just no. If he gets a run of games, we start seeing him play more and more fixtures, then yeah, sure. Nkunku, similar situation. But with De Bruyne and Nkunku, players returning from long-term injuries, we often see a very, very similar pattern where, first of all, we'll see the players play some minutes. So probably get minutes from the bench. They'll be on the bench and they'll come off on the bench and maybe play 15, 20, 30 minutes, if they're lucky, from the bench after a long-term injury. And they're eased in to that full match fitness and they start playing more and more and more games over time. Playing more and more minutes over time, probably over the period of like 3 or 4 game weeks, before they are nailed on 90-minute men again. With super important players like De Bruyne and Nkunku, be a little bit quicker. I could definitely see them, getting 1 or 2 bench appearances before the first start, though. So I think if we're talking about buying players before they've even played a minute of football in the last however many months, just no. But once we've seen them make their first bench appearance, for example, and it like 90% of the time, it will be a bench appearance before it's a start. You are looking at bringing in a player who, in most scenarios, is going to be a 1-pointer. Great player, a few minutes off the bench, it's a 1-pointer. You don't really want to be catching those 1-pointers. So for me, I would wait until these players get those minutes on the off from the bench, whether that's in the Premier League or in other competitions. Because remember, Chelsea, they've got a midweek game, so we might see Nkunku minutes from the bench there. But I would not buy De Bruyne or Nkunku until I've seen them make at least one bench appearance of at least 5-10 minutes. I don't want to see 30 seconds off from the bench. So yeah, that's what I would say. No, don't buy these players right now. Wait, see if they get a few minutes from the bench. After that, boom. We start talking about them. But for now, no. It's not quite time. I know you guys are so excited about Nkunku and De Bruyne. I know you guys are excited about these players. I am too. but it's not quite time. It's not quite time to really be like seriously considering them yet. Okay, well, let's do a couple more questions before we wrap things up. Should we do a quick whilst we're getting those last few questions? Let's do a quick check on the price changes coming up soon as well. So any like super short questions, if you got them, throw them in the chat. Long questions, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to answer them. Not because I don't want to, but because they're usually boring for the majority, respectfully. So try and keep things simple. But yeah, price changes, Jesus, Tarkowski, Bowen and Pickford up tonight. It looks like Doku still not in training, by the way. Neither is Erling Haaland, by the way. Neither Doku nor Haaland in training today. So Doku going down in price tonight, as is Edouard, Gakpo and Diaby. Watkins looks like he could go up tomorrow, actually, which is interesting. And then Mitoma still, Rodrigo, Gvardiol and Alvarez down tomorrow. So if you've got, I think someone said they're worried about Alvarez going down in price tonight. I think you've got till tomorrow by the looks of things. Looks like you're good to go. Right, okay. Tom says KDB in wildcard 20. Tom, you seem desperate to talk about KDB. I feel like I just answered the question. I would not be considering KDB until I see him play minutes in a Manchester City shirt, and I haven't seen that since game week 1. So not even a consideration until we've seen that. Sorry. If you're on a wild card and you really desperately want to go for him and prime plan for the future, go for it. But it's not something I would do personally. I mean, unless you have loads of money spare, I guess. David says, what's your overall rank? It's like 300k at the moment. We'll go through my team selection, but basically I've had some horrible luck this week, which I don't really want to talk about now, to be honest. I'm rather focused on helping you guys right now, to be honest, rather than looking at my own. Tanky says, is Odegaard a viable asset now everyone is back? I mean, yes and no. Probably wouldn't buy him ahead of the Liverpool game. Debutia, this is a really long and complicated question, man. So, yeah. He-Chan swap with Richarlison or Porro swap with Cash? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think either of those are a must-do transfer. I guess I slightly prefer the Pedro Porro one. Scott says sell the sells for Trippier. It's an option. I think it's luxury, though. It's a bit luxury. I wouldn't make that your priority. Philip says a Wobie. Yeah, not really feeling that one, to be honest. Remsch says, worth transferring out Nunez. Yeah, for Watkins, yeah. For anyone else, probably not. Best Tsimikas replacements. Oh, if you really want to replace Tsimikas, I guess Pedro Porro, if you can afford to go for him. If not, an Aston Villa defender would be nice. Pau Torres, if he's fit. Ezri Konsa is definitely a good player to go for as well. Ash says, how do I get on your experts list? Yeah, I mean, have a consistent record in FPL, contribute to the FPL community, be active on FPL social media. Yeah, it's really about people who are heavily involved in FPL rather than just people who have good ranks right now. Sabil says, Gameweek captaincy Trippier. I think he's an interesting captain pick, an interesting outside captain pick, Trippier. So yeah, don't hate it. If you want to go differential, yeah, why not? Mo says, transfer out Isaac, wait for more info. Danny says, Nunez to come good when Salah goes to AFCON. I don't know. Salah's a good provider of chances. So I actually don't know if Salah leaving makes Nunez better, to be honest. I think it probably makes him worse. Any thoughts on Crystal Palace attackers? No, not really. Would not be going towards Crystal Palace right now. Not been in great form. Haaland to Watkins. I think, yeah, there's definitely, if you're going to captain Watkins, I would definitely consider making that move. Rio says, do you think Matty Cash will start? I think if he gets a rest in the midweek, I think he's got a good chance of starting in game week 18. Philip says Moreno. Yeah, a few people talked about Alex Moreno. I think there's still going to be rotation problems with Dino there. And I think we'll leave it there. Thank you guys for all your questions today. Thank you for helping me out with the tier list as well. I'll throw that on screen just for the final few minutes of the video, though you probably can't see this super well. Hang on, let's just change it like that so you guys can see. But yeah, appreciate you guys helping me out with the tier list today. That was fun. I enjoyed that. So thank you for giving me that. If you wouldn't mind dropping a like, there is still a decent amount of you guys in the chat right now. If we can get to like, I don't know, can we get to like 300 likes on the live, and then obviously we'll shoot for like 1,000 likes for the replay watchers. So replay watchers, if we can get us to 1,000 likes, that would be sick. That would be amazing. Of course, subscribe. But yeah, aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. Because it's going to be a tough one to decide what content to make tomorrow. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. But yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, appreciate you guys. Yeah, I guess I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.